Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom.
I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai shir chadash. Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
And Shabbat Shalom, a little bit of a hybrid here. So I will try to be speaking, of course, to everyone in the congregation and to those of you joining us online. At this time in the Facebook feed, the service should be getting pinned to the top of the comments. And for those of you in the sanctuary, we'll be using Mishkan Tefillah, and so I'll call out Mishkan Tefillah page numbers. Those of you using the handout online, you'll just go one after the next, so I'm not going to call out those page numbers. I am Rabbi Rachel Miller here with Dr. Artie Gummer on guitar and voice. We've got Mark Feinberg behind the screens, behind the cameras. We've got Stephen Blick behind the sound and the screens, and we are just so blessed to be starting this transition to have people back not only outside, but also inside as well. As always, our exits to my right, your left, my left, your right, over here. And friends on Facebook, take a second to say hello and Shabbat Shalom and Chag Pesach Sameach in the Facebook comments. And friends, I think that's it. If you can, because you're spread apart, masked. And by the way, speaking of masks, over the nose and the mouth the whole service, please. Take a second and turn to the neighbor and give a wave or a Shabbat Shalom. And Artie will sing us in a little more.
Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Friends, let's get comfy in our chairs, relax a bit, perhaps back against the chair, feet on the floor, flutter our eyes closed, to give ourselves this time in this moment to reset, to push the pause button, and to be fully present for this next hour, which reminds me before I go into our little breathing here, because we have folks here, if you would, please silence your cell phones and your smartwatches and all like that. So, friends, deep breath together in. We let it out. This next breath, we notice all the little things around us. Deep breath in. We let it out. With this final breath, we center ourselves to welcome in Shabbat. Deep breath in, and we let it out. We flutter our eyes open. If you have not yet lit Shabbat candles at home, I invite you to do so along with me. And friends, this Shabbat, we're actually going to start on page 384 because it is indeed we're nearing the end here of Pesach. So tonight begins the seventh, and for Reform Judaism, final day of Pesach, and also in Israel, which is why it's for Reform Judaism. So seventh day of Pesach means that we get to say Shel Yom Tov. So we'll say Shel Shabbat v'Shel Yom Tov. All right, friends. Oh, please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kinishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov. Please be seated. We continue welcoming in Sabbath angels with Shalom Aleichem, page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 138. We prepare for L'Chadodi, where we welcome in the Sabbath bride, and at the end we get to say, enter in peace. The literal translation is, O crowd of your husband, enter in gladness, enter in joy. Come to the people that keeps its faith. Enter, O bride, enter, O bride. And with these words, we have the chance to think of what that means to us. What does it mean for us to be keeping the faith, like the name of the movie? What does it mean for us to be keeping our faith? And what is this bride that we imagine? How does God come to us? What are those beautiful, beautiful images that help us to feel connected to God? L'Chadodi, page 138.
L'Chadodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה. 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 שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השתיינו אל עם מיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ופרק ולתהילה.
l'Chadodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה.
l'Chadodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו במלאכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם מסוכה,
סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה.
l'Chadodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה. l'Chadodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה.
We rise and face the door.
בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה וצחלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. l'Chadodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה. l'Chadodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה.
We remain standing for our call to worship, Baruch Hu, page 146.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
We roll into dark. The words are not found in your prayer book, but I'm confident you will catch on as y'all are here a lot, so you got this.
Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Hooray, oh, the light, hooray, or mipnei choshech, hooray, or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night.
We center ourselves. Words of Shema declaring God's oneness, page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. Our prayer, Ve'ahavta, can be found on page 154. And it's the prayer of commandments. It's the reminder that if we haven't been paying attention, now's the time to pay attention to living out our Judaism. That this is the point in the service where we have the chance to sort of stop and reflect. I mean, you can do that at every prayer. But this one specifically, you stop and you reflect on how have you been carrying out this prayer. There's so much action here that when we're waking up, when we're going to bed, when we're waking up, when we're in our home, and when we're walking around, when we're out and about in the world, how do we fulfill this commandment to act in a particular way and to share out our Jewish values? So reflecting on that to ourselves, we join together chanting Ve'ahavta. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. So friends, for our next prayer, those of you who prayed with us last week will find it familiar that we are going to go from page 158, Words of Michamocha, straight into Miriam's song on page 646. Last week, Rabbi Max and I did this one because Pesach was on its way in, and I'm not just doing it now because it's on its way out, but because the seventh day Passover reading, which is what I'll be sharing words of Torah with you all in a few moments, it has in it, at the very end, it has Miriam's song. And so there's no more appropriate Shabbat to include Miriam's song than on this Shabbat. So we'll begin page 158. Hold your finger, page 646.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Torah tehilot osei feleh, Torah tehilot osei feleh. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע יום לפני משה. זה לי אנו בהמו, זה לי אנו בהמו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושי פלא, נורא תהילות עושי פלא. נורא תהילות עושי פלא. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she danced toward the light. Here we go! And the women dancing with their timbrel follow Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to one that we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. Here we go! And the women dancing with their timbrels follow Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to one that we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced
danced and danced the whole night long.
And the wind dancing with the timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one that we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And danced the whole night long.
So fun. So fun. Thank you. So on page 161, we have words of Hashkivenu on both page 160 and 161. And tonight I invite us to join together in prayer as we read together. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. And it's that shelter of peace that the Israelites sought quite literally as they were on their way out from Egypt, crossing that sea, going into the wilderness and into the unknown. And it's something that we feel too today. That's why we're supposed to spend Passover and Seder feeling and experiencing the holiday as if we were coming out from Egypt. And so Hashkivenu is a reminder to us that just like our ancestors asked for God's protection, so too do we continue to seek that protection. Page 162, our prayer Vishamru is our prayer for Shabbat, and we are extra happy for that Hashkivenu protection so that we can enjoy our Shabbat.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam, oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam.
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. In the days and weeks leading up to our travels to Boston for Zoe's heart surgery, I found this melody, this nigun, playing on my heart. The notes just sort of came to me one morning, and if you noticed, I began with the opening notes of the lies that lead us into the Ashamnu confessional for the High Holy Days, you know, ay, 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 for no other reason than I knew that if I started with that, I would never forget the tune. So that helped me to get there. And the melody of Zoe's nigun, it followed Max and I through the hospital halls, the doctor's offices, the pre-op rooms, the CICU, the step-down unit rooms, and the journey home. That tune, it gave us strength. That melody provided us with comfort. It was something to hold us steady, something to keep us calm and collected for Zoe. Now this week, the verses of Torah that we read on this seventh day, the special Passover reading, those verses feature two major songs of Torah. So the first one is the Song of the Sea, say that 5 times fast, Shirat Hayam. And the second song, as I gave a hint to just a few moments ago, is Miriam's song. And both songs appear in chapter 15 of the book of Exodus. And the Song of the Sea, it's a song of faith in God as not only protector and savior, but from the Hebrew Lishu'ah. I think I said that backwards. So the word Lishu'ah has to do with being a protector and a savior. And the other piece here, though, is that God is a warrior to us. And it says that God is Adonai Ish Milchama, that word Milchama coming to be interpreted here in Ish Milchama as a warrior. And in some Jewish communities, the song, Shirat Hayam, it's a prayer, and it is recited every morning. And the text is so important and distinct that it has its own special melody amidst the Torah trope. O ziv zimratya vayhili lishua zelivion vehu Elohei aviv aro memenehu. And the text also happens to have been featured in the DreamWorks movie, The Prince of Egypt. Ashira ladonai ki goga'a, Ashira ladonai ki goga'a, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nachita v'chastecha, Amzu ga'alta, Nachita v'chastecha, Amzu ga'alta, Ashira, 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 and then it keeps going. So, Shirat Hayam and Miriam's song, they are songs of celebration and liberation, of having faith in something bigger than oneself, and singing out in joy for the future. Now, the part that's much less popular today, though still should be named, is that as a part of this celebratory song, the Israelites do celebrate the destruction of the Egyptian army. Though God allows the Israelites to sing in celebration, the stories of the Talmud tell us that God chastises the angels who are with them, who want to be cheering along. And God reminds the angels that God, takes no joy in removing his children from the earth. And yet, God wanted the Israelites to feel joy for their triumph and for their freedom. And that joy is expressed in song and dance. Shirat Hayam, it concludes, and then Miriam's song immediately sounds off. And It's just one line of Torah calling upon us to sing out to God. And you heard it at the beginning of those words from the Prince of Egypt. Shiru ladonai ki ga'oga'a, hasus the Hebrew got messed up on the projector, but that's okay. I got it. Shiru ladonai ki ga'oga'a, sus v'roch vo rama vayam, which means, sing to God, for Adonai has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver, God has hurled into the sea. So at just one verse in length, though, it focuses and it functions for us much like the tradition of a nigun in Hasidic tradition. And as the women joined Miriam, the text says, then Miriam, the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her and danced with timbrels. Now we know where Debbie Friedman got the lyrics to her song. And as you imagine the women dancing and singing in praise of God, such an image might not be so different from watching an individual sing out a nigun, a wordless melody. It's one that allows our hearts, our minds, our bodies, and our souls to feel connected to God. And this was exactly what Miriam and the women were trying to do. Rabbi Nachman of Braslav, he teaches us that a holy melody has the power to bring one to the level of prophecy, that music is the foundation of true attachment to God. Music has tremendous power to draw us in to God. So he says, get into the habit of always singing a tune. It will give us a new life and send joy into our souls. And then we will be able to bind ourselves to God. And he finishes that it is especially good to sing on Shabbat and the festivals and at wedding celebrations. So music and melody have been a part of the Jewish people since Torah times and in our greatest struggles. Even in the Warsaw Ghetto, April 1943, during the uprising, Jews huddled together in bunkers as Nazi gunfire rang out above, and they read and sang through the Passover Haggadah. And that is because singing those songs and saying those words was their way of showing one another and God that they were Jewish, that they would not hold back from their traditions. So whether you sing melodies of liberation, protest anthems, nigunim, or any song of the heart, find that voice within that connects you to God. Whether God is that being on high or that small spark within you and within all people. As our Torah portion reminds us this week, there is always a place for song in celebration of freedom and in reaching out to the divine Spirit. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbat Shalom. We continue in our service, page 166, connecting to those ancestors who came before us, giving us the strength to be here today. We rise, Adonai Sefatai Tiftachu Fi Yagid Tehilatecha.
Anananananana Adonai. Anananananana Sfatai Tiftach. Anananananana Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Anananananana Adonai. Anananananana Sfatai Tiftach. Ananananana Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Anananananana Adonai. Anananananana Sfatai Tiftach. Anananananana Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevii Geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechakel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melech, melech meimit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom yahaylu chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We take a few moments for silent prayer and meditation, and when you have completed your prayers, please be seated.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leholam.
Page 178.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leholam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leholam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leholam. Ki atahu melech adon, לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדום. לכל השלום, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, ולעיתו בכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. 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 תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Friends, we turn to page 570 for the special occasion of the chance to count the Omer. So we are in the midst of counting from second night of Passover all the way until Shavuot. And so tonight is going to be the start of the sixth day. So on page 570, if you'd like, please join with me. Hineni mutzan umezuman lekayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat haomer. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. And so we say, there's no week part, so it's just the day. Hayom shisha yamim la Omer. Today is the sixth day of the Omer. And that's it. That's how you count the Omer. So now you can keep it up all the way to 40, 49, and then 50 days. There you go. Beautiful. So, friends, a few announcements. So on behalf of Robert Wittenstein and our Board of Trustees, Israel Week is just around the corner. It's going to start with a Holocaust program on Yom HaShoah, and that's on April 8th, with programming available almost every single day leading up to Yom HaAtzmaut. So definitely check out that big calendar of Israel things that are happening. It's going to be awesome. And friends, we all have somewhere in our lives something also awesome going on and gratitude to share or something that we are celebrating. I do want to extend, Cantor Desnick and I have been texting, and she said, Rabbi, Rachel, you have to let them know how grateful I am. So Cantor Desnick sends so much of her gratitude out to everybody. She is just so touched by everyone reaching out to her and just really, really appreciates it. So friends, anybody in the sanctuary have anything you'd like to share? Think about that for a moment. Online on Facebook, please share the good things in your life on the Facebook feed. And B'nai Mitzvah students, this is how you tell us you are here. Please share the things that are going on in your life. So anybody in the sanctuary have something lovely going on? Mark, yes.
We closed on a house this week, and my son got a promotion today at Google.
Beautiful. So Mark, his family closed on a house today, and his son got a promotion at Google. Dr. Gummer.
After everybody having been vaccinated in my family, my kids all came in from out of town to celebrate Passover with us and left my grandson Julian and my granddaughter Amelia for us to watch for the week while they went off someplace else.
All right,
We had a great time.
rest up. Wonderful. Alexa. Yes, he is.
Wow.
Alexa's great-grandfather will be 102 next week. Awesome, awesome. Anybody else? Okay. So, and the thing that I'm thankful for this week, and my gratitude, of course, goes out to everybody who's sent us so much love, is that Zohara, number one, she's no longer on the Misha Berach list, and that is because she was able to get cleared to at least try to be off the feeding tube. So a big deal in the Miller house, and we're really excited for that. So friends, we will rise for, well, no, stay seated. We'll stay seated. For Shehechianu, though, we will be excited for one another. If you'd like the words, page 648.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
So friends, in these moments of joy, we also lift one another up in the hard times for those who are in need of healing. Mind, body, spirit, relationship. And so on this Shabbat, we are praying for the healing of David Lombroso, Brett Samsky, Andy Rush, Yeda Bat Yosef Lev Miriam, Zalik Ben Ressel, Matthew Wilcox, Judith Sina, Lisa Solanik, Chet Parver, Hannah Hazen, Elaine Alexander, and Chloe Jordan Hines. There's somebody tonight for whom you are praying for their healing. I invite you to share the name in the Facebook feed or as my eyes meet yours. Friends, now we do rise for Misha Berach. If you'd like the words, page 371 in the middle. Wrap an arm around one another if you are in a pod together. And if not, please know that we are all holding you. Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Lehimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lehavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We remain standing for Kiddush, page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lamikra'e kodesh, Zecher letziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu v'acharta, Ve'otanu kidashta, Mikol ha'amim, V'shabbat kodshecha, Be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Friends, we will remain standing. We'll turn to page 586 for Aleinu Lishabeach. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'goravenu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu kor'im, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Please be seated. At this time, we recall the memories of loved ones who have died in most recent days, and as well as those who have died in seasons past. On this Shabbat, we are in a period of Shiv'ah for Norman Siegel, in a period of Shloshim for Sidney Silvers and Jerry Zimmerman. We are observing the yahrzeits for Craig Alloy, Faye Amato, Charles Bach, Joel Cohen, Susan Ellen Fox, Rita Franco, Jean Frey, Celia Friedlander, Mary Fruchter, Helen Goldberg, Mabel Goldstein, Sheldon Grazier, Carl Grossman, David Kozlinski, Barry Klompus, Shirley Kurzman, Diana Kuttner, Nettie Levy, Irving Mandel, Abraham Mencher, Julius Mincer, Matilda Mizrahi, Janet Nadel, Helen Price, Richard Propp, Lila Renbaum, Andrew Ruda, Bernice Rudy, Marilyn Shatta, Werner Spiegel, David Louis Steinberg, Carol Newport Wasserstein, Neot Watzman, Samuel M. Weiner, David Joel Weinstock, Louis Weiss, and Michael Wilson. If you are in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to rise now. If you are in the first year mourning the loss of a loved one, Yud Bet, I invite you to please rise now. If on this Shabbat you are observing a yahrzeit, a death anniversary of a loved one, I invite you to rise now. And if it is your custom to rise for Kaddish Yatom, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, I invite you to do so at this time. We join together, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו amen.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom.